There are deep concerns about security on campuses here and across the country after the shooting death of Kirk. Some public safety experts say security was light at the outdoor venue where Kirk was shot. KTLA's Rachel Menitoff with a closer look at security concerns.
Hi, good evening. The shooting is certainly hitting close to home for a lot of college campuses, which host very similar types of speaking engagements. And it begs the question of whether or not campus events, political in nature or not, require even more security.
So this situation with the unaliving of Charlie Kirk by Tyler Robinson is a hot button topic. Everybody all over the world is talking about it, from Benjamin Netanyahu to President Trump to Republicans, Democrats. Everybody's blaming who's who. But you know what's funny? Who's at the center of all this and getting picked on? It's Black Americans. Black Americans and Black people in general are being picked on and called all kinds of names and low IQ. W folks are coming into our spaces and bothering us as if we did it. We had absolutely nothing to do with this. We were the targets where people used us as cannon fire to bolster their careers. They used the Black community and Black talking points in the media, right, to make a name for themselves. And they was able to do that, right? And they was just using words. So now we're just using words to defend ourselves, but we're not allowed to we're not allowed to use words. They're upset at him because he was unalive for using words. They upset at us for defending ourselves by using words. You know what I mean? You know, I wish that we could live in a place where we had just a harmonious union where everybody got along and there was no racism. But unfortunately, that's just a dream, and that's not the world that I live in, right? But let's check this out.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him. On the evening of September 11th, a family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident. This information was relayed to the Utah County Sheriff's Office and scene investigators at Utah Valley University. This information was also conveyed to the FBI. Investigators reviewed additional video footage from UVU surveillance and identified Robinson arriving on UVU campus in a gray Dodge Challenger at approximately 8:29 a.m. on September 10th, in which he is observed on video in a plain maroon t-shirt, light-colored shorts, a black hat with a white logo, and light-colored shoes. When encountered in person by investigators in Washington County on September 12th, in the early morning hours, Robinson was observed in consistent clothing with those surveillance images. Investigators interviewed a family member of Robinson who stated that Robinson had become more political in recent years. The family member referenced a recent incident in which Robinson came to dinner prior to September 10th, and in the conversation with another family member, Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints that he had. The family member also stated Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate.
So they're happy that they caught this guy. Now, the crazy thing is, this unaliving of Charlie Kirk came from within. It came from their own people. It came from alt-right, right-wing Groypers. Now, what is a Groyper, right? Online, you know, a lot of Black folks may not even know what this is, but Groypers are these white nationalist Christian groups, right? That are Trump supporters, that are far right. And he was unalived by this boy that's allegedly tied to the Groypers. Check it out.
Do you remember when Nick Fuentes embarrassed Candace Owens and people laughed at her on social media a few weeks back? Then Candace does this mysterious tweet. Don't dismiss questions. Follow me. Don't dismiss the questions about Charlie Kirk. The shooter was allegedly a Groyper. For those of you who don't know, Groypers are known for their pedophilia and homosexuality, allegedly. It's Nick Fuentes' group. And he was allegedly a Nick Fuentes follower. But what else are the Groypers known for? Hating Charlie Kirk. Think back to Groyper Wars. Allegedly, Fuentes sent his followers to flood Kirk's events, heckle him, smear him, call him a fake conservative. Allegedly, at the event, he got shot. 11 out of the 14 questions at that one event were Groypers. Is that coordinated? Well, hold on. It gets darker. One Groyper was arrested by the FBI for threatening a terrorist attack at a Charlie Kirk TPUSA conference, while also getting caught with child porn. Also, another allegedly tried to shoot up a Kirk event. So ask yourself, was Nick Fuentes involved? One of his followers? Candace Owens? I don't know. I'm just asking questions.
So you have W folks arguing back and forth online about the Gronk and the Groypers, right? And they say, one person said, Gronk, tell these people about Groyper and the ties to Charlie Kirk. Groypers are followers of Nick Fuentes' far-right American First movement, known for trolling mainstream conservatives like Charlie Kirk during the Groyper Wars from 2019 to 2020, where they disrupted Turning Point USA. In my view, these inscriptions on the ammo casing, notice bulges OWO, O Bella, CO, Bella, CO, Bella, CO, 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 catch this fascist. And if you are reading this, you are GAY, laughing my ass off, aren't random or left leaning signals like some of the early reports claim. Instead, they trace Tyler Robinson's political beliefs squarely to the fringes of the alt-right, specifically the Groyper movement led by figures Nick Fuentes. The crowd positions itself as hyper patriotic pro-Trump conservatives who see mainstream Republicans like Charlie Kirk as sellouts, fake conservatives affected by globalism, liberalism, and even fascism, right? So they're having their little civil wars amongst each other. Overall, it's not Antifa or trans activism. It's the toxic underbelly of the MAGA ecosystem, where online radicalization turns personal grievances into violence against perceived ideological impurities. Robinson's Republican registrations and Trump donations fit the profile. A young guy steeped in gun culture and pandemic-era echo chambers, lashing out at the enemy within on his own side. Tragic, but a reminder that extremism doesn't care about party lines. It just amplifies it. It just amplifies it. But again, they know that this came from this, right? They see all this. But people like Nancy Mace and even your president, they keep on pushing this left stuff, right? Nancy Mace, this woman went as far as to say this.
I'm going to say this. Democrats own what happened today. I am devastated. My kids have called panicking. All the kids of every conservative in the country called panicking. Just because you speak your mind on an issue doesn't mean you get shot.
Then, by that logic, do Republicans own the shooting of the two Democratic lawmakers in Minnesota? Isn't this on both sides?
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm asking.
We don't know what condition Charlie Kirk is in right now. Some raging leftist lunatic put a bullet through his neck, and you want to talk about Republicans right now? No.
No, I'm asking.
No, not at all.
You said the Democrats have to own it too.
But Democrats own this.
But isn't there a problem with political violence across the spectrum?
Yeah, we're talking about Charlie Kirk right now. That's the subject of this that we're talking about right now. Democrats own this 100%.
So like enough is enough. And now I have to deal with real safety concerns. It sounds like the shooter was pro-tranny. And just because I want to protect women, that I'm worried about getting murdered. Kidding me? It's out of control, and enough is enough. And I'm going to double down on this. I'm going to be more vigilant than ever. I'm going to be louder than I've ever been until this stops. It's got to stop.
Now, how irresponsible was that to go in there and make those statements, knowing that she didn't have the facts, right? Knowing that, and this is before Tyler Robinson was arrested, right, and brought in for his crimes, right? And they're having this fight amongst each other where this incident now, based off the information that's presented, came from his own house. It came from the groups having an infighting. That's what it came from. But for some reason, HBCUs are receiving unaliving threats. Why? What does HBCUs got to do with any of this? Any of it, right? Any of it. We have nothing to do with any of this, right? But Nick Fuentes is at the center of this, right? But let's listen to some of the criticism that Nick Fuentes had of Charlie Kirk.
Problem with Charlie Kirk is I think he's insincere. I think he's arrogant. He's not polite. But I think that when he goes and does these college debates, question comes in and like a magic 8-ball, the perfect conservative argument comes out. But here's the conceit. Here's the game. The question goes out and Charlie Kirk will basically categorize that and file it into a particular line of argument. Like, so for example, get asked a question about Gaza. He'll say, well, do you believe Israel has a right to exist? And once that question goes out, it goes down a pre-recorded series of questions and answers, So it's like, how can I take any question and comment and filter that, file that into a track, a predetermined track of questions, and I say this and you say that, until we get to a predetermined destination. And I actually don't think that's very honest. I don't think it's terribly impressive. And I think that at Cambridge, when you actually have super intelligent kids debating him, then you see the conceit. And you could see Charlie Kirk had nothing there because, once again, that was the predetermined track. But when you debate Dean Withers, who's getting like a degree in economics, when you debate a kid from Cambridge, then you see him licking his wounds on these shows and saying, well, Dean Withers is not a normal college kid. He's getting a degree in economics. It's like, isn't that what a college kid is? Isn't that what they do, is get degrees in advanced subjects?
But now that Charlie Kirk has been unalive, Nick Fuentes is trying to play the good guy, bad guy. He's running interference, trying to defend himself.
He did a lot to stifle my career and suppressed me in many ways. And I antagonized him a lot and mocked him and ridiculed him and attacked his credibility. He was my opponent. But I would never wish death upon him. It is undeniable that he was a towering figure in American conservatism. It's undeniable. I don't know that there's anyone that could fill his shoes. I don't know that there's anyone that can do what he did. He died at 31 years old and left a legacy that many people could not achieve in many lifetimes. Millions upon millions of decent, earnest, good people, Christians, patriots, they did love him. And he belongs to them. And above all else, maybe this is what I respected about him the most, is that he would go to these college campuses and proclaim the name of Jesus Christ. And ultimately, that is why he was killed. Anyone, everyone, fighting and winning that spiritual battle for Christ and for his kingdom will be persecuted for his sake. And I don't believe Charlie Kirk was any different. And for that, I consider him a true martyr. And I hope his reward is in heaven. Charlie Kirk was a good man. God bless him. And I pray for the repose of his soul, for his family.
But just like I told you, HBCUs are now under fire for this, right? And we want to know why, because black people had nothing to do with it. The only thing I can look at is black people are the low-hanging fruit. You could just come bother black people instead of going over there to confront the Groyper people and Nick Fuentes and all these other people from within. Why are you coming bothering us? We had nothing to do with it. Check out how they're messing with HBCUs.
There are deep concerns about security on campuses here and across the country after the shooting death of Kirk. Some public safety experts say security was light at the outdoor venue where Kirk was shot. KTLA's Rachel Menitoff with a closer look at security concerns.
Hi, good evening. The shooting is certainly hitting close to home for a lot of college campuses, which host very similar types of speaking engagements. And it begs the question of whether or not campus events, political in nature or not, require even more security.
So it would be in the campus and they just move. What was that?
Charlie Kirk's assassination is prompting questions about security on college campuses, especially at events or programs that draw large crowds of people. This woman who was in attendance says she was surprised by what she described as somewhat lax security measures.
And when I showed up, there was nobody looking at tickets. There was no, any type of security. They weren't checking bags. They weren't putting you through metal detectors.
Utah Valley Police Chief says 6 officers were at the event, some in plain clothes doing crowd control. Others were coordinating with Kirk's executive security. LA County Sheriff Robert Luna says his department helps out local law enforcement at large-scale events, say at SoFi Stadium. But many higher ed events are private, and law enforcement isn't always present, but is often helping with risk assessment. Location, outdoor versus indoor, is always a consideration.
And honestly, should law enforcement be involved in more events? That's a question. I'm not making that recommendation. because for all of us, we have to really evaluate our resources and what we do.
And as security comes under scrutiny across the country, multiple historically black colleges and universities are on lockdown Thursday and have canceled classes after receiving threats. The FBI says its investigators are aware of hoax threat calls.
You guys okay?
Officials haven't linked the threats at HBCU campuses to the Utah Valley shooting. And security experts say when universities host any kind of event, they need to assess both physical threats of violence as well as digital ones, such as online vitriol or cyber stalking.
Level of risk really needs to be ascertained, and then you can prescribe the right amount of physical security that is needed and the right amount of concentric rings that flow out from that person throughout the universities.
Sheriff Robert Luna, along with other security experts, say once the shooter is found and his motivations understood, they'll have a sense of maybe what could have been done better or differently and hopefully how to prevent something like this in the future. In Hollywood, I'm Rachel Menitoff, KTLA 5 News. Back to you.
So even Trump made irresponsible comments, right? Blaming the left, where we finding out that this came from inside the house, in-house. But Trump, he in his press conference, he talked about the left. He talked about the unalivings that's coming from the left. He talked about how that he tried to break down the difference between the radical right and the radical left, and said the radical right only complains about violence, just against violence. But he said that the radical left is unaliving people. Check it out.
For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others, radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives.
Radicals on the right as well. We have radicals on the left. People are watching all of these videos and cheering. Some people are cheering that Charlie was killed. How do we fix this country? How do we come back together?
I'll tell you something that's going to get me in trouble, but I couldn't care less. The radicals on the right oftentimes are radical because they don't want to see crime. They don't want to see crime.
Worried about the border.
They're saying, we don't want these people coming in. We don't want you burning our shopping centers. We don't want you shooting our people in the middle of the street. The radicals on the left are the problem. And they're vicious and they're horrible and they're politically savvy. Although they want men and women sports, they want transgender for everyone. They want open borders.
And even when Donald Trump gave his statements, he even mentioned the left and how the far right, when they're radical, they're talking about crime and not violence against people. But he was saying that the left are the ones that's violent, and they're the ones that's unaliving people and using their firearms on people when they disagree. But what we see, President Trump, is this came from somebody that was a supporter of you, a donor to you, right? These groups didn't like Charlie Kirk because they thought that he was a sellout. They called him a sellout for the small hat group. So you owe the left an apology, even though I don't support the left or the right. I don't care for neither one of them. I'm a black American, and it's been a colossal failure in this country when it comes to my people. I have sense, right? But they're arguing with us where it came from inside their own house. Something that they couldn't get control of. Now, the thing is, like I said, we're the easy ones. We're the easy ones to come after. But you guys need to, all you guys that will come in my comment section and troll, go. This was W on W political gang violence. And Nancy Mace, Donald Trump, and all of them, they all blaming the left, right? The radical left, where the radical left is blaming the radical right, and people are dying because of it. This is political W on W gang violence. That has absolutely nothing to do with us. We have nothing to do with this. So stay out of our comment section bothering us and go over there and deal with your own people, because they're showing the inability to debate peacefully and showing low IQ qualities. But I'm going to cut this video short here. If you made it this far in the video, hit that like button, subscribe to Street Media TV. Leave your comments in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. Remember, I love y'all. Till the next time. Peace.